maybe better say a booklet, a brochure that I've started to write. I can see that the recording is in progress. Also, you all, well, those of you who know me know that I like to share everything everywhere. So in order to reach more audience, I'll just publish it on my YouTube channel if it's of any worth for anyone. I started, so I have this idea of writing a little didactic booklet, but I only wrote 3 pages, and I want to share with you these 3 pages and the context, the educational, the didactic context that it was conceived in. Sed hic libellus fortasse ab alio quodam perficietur. This is one of the biggest vices, not to be able to finish the things that you start. So I hope that maybe someone will be inspired to continue. Now, the context is this class, Colloquia Latina. This is a class at the University of Wrocław where I teach. Now the title of the class has been changed to a very boring one, because apparently this one didn't attract all the intended target audience. And now this class is called officially Latin for exchange students, but the unofficial title is always Colloquia Latina. It is proposed to the students of the philological department, but also all exchange students can join who are interested. So from the Department of History or Philosophy or other departments, we even sometimes have someone from the Department of Computer Science. As you can see, the system, the official system at the University of Wrocław now allows to indicate that the class is held in Latin. And this tends to be true. Sometimes we use also English, but mostly the teaching is conducted in Latin. And this is a class intended for Erasmus students, or in general exchange students, because not all of them are Erasmus. I once had a student from China also. No, not once, more than once. At our institute, we welcome students of classics who, with the typical teaching methods in Poland, when you have a class of Latin, for example, reading a Latin author, an incoming student from abroad is not able to take part in this class. So, of course, we offer some courses in English, but in order to give them an opportunity to register for a Latin class, which is usually required if they are students of classics at their home university, we needed to have something for them in English, or as the idea is, in Latin. The problem was that these students are, we don't have many incoming students at our institute. There are usually 4 to 6 people who are from different countries, and they are of very different levels. Some of them are, for example, a student of classics from Italy. It is obvious, especially if they are in their later years at their home university, their knowledge of Latin is very, very good. Then we have a student of history who wants to take Latin, but he has never learned any Latin. Or different types of students with very different level of Latin competence. And I noticed that at the beginning, we tried, it started 12 years ago. And at the beginning, when I started to teach at this university, and at the beginning we tried to invite these students to our classes with Polish students where we speak Latin. But we noticed that there is a lot of disruption in the teaching process if foreign students join a uniform group of Polish students. And that's why we decided to offer this class, especially for Erasmus students, for exchange students. But the problem was how to deal with their different level of fluency or competence in Latin and the knowledge of Latin grammar. And that's why I thought, okay, let's do an introduction to spoken Latin, Colloquia Latina, because even if, it's okay if the student has never learned any Latin, we will just teach him conversational Latin from the very beginning. But if the student is already advanced, most of the time they are advanced in grammar translation method. So they can be very advanced in understanding Latin texts, but most of them never had any opportunity to be able to listen to Latin conversations and to take part in Latin conversations. And that's why I thought, okay, this will be a good idea for them not to waste time during this semester, because they will just supplement their knowledge of Latin with this speaking part. Hence the idea of this class, Colloquia Latina. It's been at our university, it's been offered for the last 10 years or so, or eight years maybe. And usually there is a little group of 7 to 9 people from different departments. Some of them are students of classics, some of them are students from other departments, and sometimes some Polish students join, or other kinds of international students. For example, a case study, once I had a Chinese student who came to Poland in order to study German language and literature. And in his program at the German department, there was Latin, but the Latin offered to Polish students of German language and literature, of course, was grammar translation method. So the class was conducted in Polish, and he could follow all the classes in German, but he was not able to follow the Latin class, which was mainly in Polish. So this student's tutor recommended that he joins the Erasmus class, basically. Okay, Colloquia Latina, how to teach spoken Latin. We all know, I thought instantly that maybe we could read the Colloquia Scholastica. We all know Corderius, first of all, Erasmus, of course, right? Colloquia Familiaria, but this is already a literary work. This is not a beginner's Latin conversation book. Mosellanus, Pontanus, all these are very well known. I especially liked Jacobus Pontanus. I really loved these progymnasmata. But as I started to read them and show them to the students, I noticed that they are wonderful, but they are too far away from us culturally. The schools where these conversations take place are different from our educational context. Some things are similar, of course. I remember the wonderful dialogue by Pontanus where a father brings a little boy to school, and there is this introductory conversation between this little student and the future teacher. But there are many things that need to be explained, and actually I would need to explain them in a well-known language. I would need to explain them in English, which is great, but this was not the specific goal of our course. And that's why I thought, okay, let's write, this was, these 16th, 17th century colloquia, and they were written in the educational context that is somehow similar to what is happening now in the republic of letters that we have now in the 21st century, something that Irene has been talking about in her presentation. We have these podcasts and people conversing in Latin. I like to call it the 6th Renaissance. So this was the 5th Renaissance, and now we have the 6th Renaissance when we again start to use Latin in our communication. So I thought, okay, let's write a textbook similar to Corderius, to Pontanus, with contemporary Latin conversations set in an educational context. And that's why I thought, okay, I will try to compose. I'm not a writer, but as a teacher, I try to use my experience from my own conversations with students in the classroom. Let's try to write a textbook with Latin conversations at the university. And I called it tentatively Colloquia Universitaria. I wrote only 3, and I would like to show them to you. The first Colloquium Primum, this is not actually a text for reading. This is already an exercise, the first conversation that I have with my students. Salve, magistra, ego dico ad discipulos meos, non salvete, salve, ad unum quemque adeo, et dico salve, et illi respondent, salve. Catarina sum, quod est tibi nomen? mihi nomen est, dicunt tum vertimur ex lingua eorum, vertimur in lingvam latinam, nomina latina magis placet, nominis latinis placet uti. Esne discipula anni primi, sum, esne tu quoque discipula anni primi, apparently a very young teacher, as you can see, ego non discipula sed magistra lingve latine sum. So this just the first conversation, they have a model and we can have a little introduction among each other. And then we continue to colloquium secundum. Persone, colloqui secundi, sunt Anna et Christophorus, et sunt veri discipuli, sunt ex grege discipulorum meorum, locus etiam est notus omnibus nobis, Vratislaviensibus est institutum philologiae classicae universitatis Vratislaviensis, et hec omnia, all these is, it's very difficult for me to show it to you in this camera setting, because it's really great to have, I haven't yet mastered the tablet where I can draw and it will appear on your screens. I think I will have to learn it eventually. But normally when I'm in a classroom, I will just have a whiteboard and draw pictures. And you know, I will use a lot of movement around the classroom, and we have all the tables and chairs and everything. So the entire context of the classroom is the same as the context of this little conversation. Ecce Christophorus. Christophorus est discipulus anni primi. Christophorus ad institutum venit et ad auditorium ambulat. And here you can actually open the door of the classroom. You can go out with the students. You can go out to the corridor and you can show ecce janua auditori. Hic est nos sumus in Androne, est ab nunc aperio januam est intus est auditorium. Iuxta auditorium puella sedet. And usually I will just put one of the students on a chair or on a bench next in the corridor next to the entrance to the classroom. And we have everything the setup is clear and obvious, and the context is obvious. There are usually chairs in front of, in the corridors in front of classrooms. Iuxta auditorium puella sedet. Christophorus consistit et puellam spectat. In manu puelle liber est. Oh, I don't have the prop. I would need. Unfortunately, all my books are in the other room, so I'll not stop now. I should have thought about it before. I'm sorry. In manu puelle liber est. In naso puelle ocularia sunt in naso puelle. Puella librum legit. So all these should be obvious from the context. Students who have no Latin, no knowledge of Latin, learn from the context. And students who are, even those who are already advanced, they are, for most of them, this is very new, because they hear Latin and can connect it with the context around them, with the material things that are around them. Bene, possumus nunc sistere et interrogare inter nos, possum interrogare discipulos, quid est hoc, vocantur ocularia, nonne, quid habet puella in manu puella est liber, etc. Christophorus puellam salutat. Salve, dicit Christophorus. Puella Christophorum spectat et librum claudit. Salve, dicit puella. Christophorus sum. Quod est tibi nomen? Mihi nomen est Anna. Esne discipula anni primi? Interrogat Christophorus. Sum, respondet Anna. Ego quoque anni primi sum, dicit Christophorus. Anna tacet. Nihil dicit, non respondet. Christophorus librum spectat, qui in manu puelle est. Quid legis? Interrogat Christophorus. Anna ocularia deponit, et Christophorum spectat. Ciceronem lego, respondet Anna. Anna ut citis est discipula anni primi, et iam legit Ciceronem, ergo est optima discipula sapiens. Dic Christophorus, nunc quid fit Christophorus tacet. Iam non potest nestit respondere Christophorus miser discipulus. Bene, colloquium tertium possumus etiam sistere hic et interrogare inter nos, nonne? Possumus etiam de Cicerone, nonne? Quedam dicere quis nam fuit ille, quis est Cicero, nonne? Possum interrogare discipulos, que sunt tria nomina Ciceronis, nos novimus eum Ciceronem, sed que sunt ilius tria nomina Marcus Tullius Cicero, etc. Colloquium tertium, magister venit. Persone, Anna, Christophorus, magister. Anna et Christophorus iuxta auditorium sedent et colloquium habent. Christophorus Annam de libro interrogat. Titulus libri est de oratore. She's already very advanced. Est liber Latinus. Auctor libri est Marcus Tullius Cicero, scriptor Romanus. Anna de Cicerone et de libro narrat. All this can be also drawn on the whiteboard. Christophorus audit. Ecce vir barbatus, qui barbam habet, possum etiam indicare discipulum, nunc multi discipuli sunt, qui sunt barbati, non solum magistri, ergo barbam, non est difficile barbam invenire, his diebus, etiam videmus Adalbertum, dominum Adalbertum, qui barbam habet, est magister barbatus, nos quoque habemus magistrum barbatum. Specta, dicit Anna, parva voce, magister venit. Christophorus surgit, Anna quoque surgit, because this is a verb that can be shown very, very easily, right? Anna surgit, Christophorus surgit, magister consistit. Anna et Christophorus magistrum salutant. Videtis etiam docemus hic non solum lingvam latinam, sed etiam urbanitatem. You also teach the rules of politeness, that you should stand up when the teacher arrives. Anna et Christophorus magistrum salutant. Salve Domine. Salvete. Estisne discipuli anni primi. We introduced the plural. Estisne discipuli anni primi. Already. Here it wasn't yet introduced. Christophorus surgit, Anna surgit. Anna et Christophorus salutant magistrum. Okay, so I've introduced the plural. I need to pay attention to, how the grammatical structures are introduced. I will never be as good as Erberg. Those of you who teach with Erberg know how precisely he introduces each form. But at least we should try to imitate him. Estisne discipuli anni primi? Interrogat magister. Sumus Domine. Oh, they are very polite. Responded, Christophorus, he's very polite. Magister Annam et Christophorum spectat. Bene, inquit. Nomen mihi est Antonius, lingvam Latinam doceo. And those of you who are from Wrocław, and not only, know magistrum Antonium Barbatum, qui apud nos quoque lingvam Latinam docet. Magister Antonius Januam auditori aperit, intrate queso inquit. And this is already not new for the students, because usually when this scene has already happened 15 minutes ago, because they've been waiting for me in the corridor, and this actually happened. And even in the corridor, I spoke Latin to them. The context is so clear. So I say salvete, januam auditori aperui iam nonne et dixi intrate queso. Estisne discipuli lingve latine, ego sum magistra lingve latine intrate queso. So this is already a repetition. This is not a text that, well, they see the text for the first time here, but this is already not new to them. The context is not new, and some of the phrases are already known, at least they've heard them once. Discipuli in auditorium intrat primum Anna tum Christophorus. This also can be shown. I can ask the students to go out and to enter the classroom again. Magister, so as you can see, a part of it's not only the text, but the part of this teaching method is also the so-called TPR, total physical response. So I will ask them surge queso, conside. Considite, magister quoque intrat, et januam claudit. Considite discipuli inquit. Anna primo ordine considit. This can be easily shown. Est sunt selle, et hic est primus ordo sellarum, hic est secundus ordo sellarum. Christophorus consistit, et locum vacuum, sive sellam vacuam, que juxta annam est, demonstrat. Licet mihi hoc loco considere? Interrogat Christophorus. Libenter, conside, respondet Anna. Christophorus juxta annam considit. Schola incipit, magister lingua latinam docet, discipuli audiunt et discunt. Colloquium quartum, iam non est scriptum, hic finem feci ad hoc, ut videtis nova persona apparet Elisabeta, ergo habemus duas discipulas, Annam et Elisabetam, discipulum Christophorum et magistrum Antonium, est Elisabeta ut iam videtis ex titulo, iam apparet hoc ex titulo discipula Elisabeta sero venit, ergo potestis mente fingere quidnam fiet in hoc colloquio quarto, but here I need to finish because this dialogue is not has not yet been written. Maybe I will write it with this semester's class. I will continue to write these dialogues for the next group of Erasmus students. Maybe someone else will be inspired by this idea. One more thing that I can show you is exercitium, sive probatiuncula, if you need to give grades and points, marks to students. This can be a little test. Ad colloquium secundum pertinens exercitium. A very simple thing. Exe Christophorus. Maybe we can do it together if you want. Maybe if there are any students, I don't want to ask teachers, professors, but if there are any students, you are all welcome to join and answer. Maybe somebody wants to read it. Are there any volunteers? I can continue, it's not a problem. But if there is someone, exe Christophorus, Christophorus est discipulus, anni primi hociam exemplum est factum, nonne? Christophorus venit in... Any responses? Christophorus... in institutum venit. Bene, hoc erat facile quia institutum est primum vocabulum, quod possumus eligere. Christophorus in institutum venit, non venit ad institutum, sed iam intravit institutum, ergo dico in institutum, spectate. Ed ad ambulatorium, ad auditorium ambulat. Puella sedet, ubi sedet puella?
Iuxta auditorium.
Iuxta auditorium, optime, Martina, gratias tibi ago, tu es bona discipula. Christophorus, quid agit? Puellam spectat, non solum spectat puellam, primum quid agit?
Consistit.
Consistit primum ambulabat, nunc consistit, nonne? Christophorus consistit, et puellam spectat. In manu puelle, quid est in manu puelle?
Puto liber.
Liber, in manu puelle liber est. Ocularia autem, ubi sunt ne ocularia quoque in manu puelle? Non. Ocularia sunt in
Naso.
In naso puelle. Puella librum legit. Christophorus puellam salutat. Salve, dicit Christophorus, puella Christophorum spectat, et librum iam non legit librum. Claudit. Puella librum claudit. Hoc vocabulum iam non semel est usurpatum, videtis, via quid possumus claudere? Possumus claudere librum, possumus claudere januam, multas res possumus claudere, nonne? I thought that this would also be important to use the method where you repeat the same word in many different contexts. This is just the beginning, so there are only two contexts possible, but we can think of other things. Students usually have, I don't know, a bottle of water on their desks, so I can open, possum lagenam aperire et postea claudere, so I'll try to use all the props that are available to me. Sometimes I'll bring my own props, but usually the context of the classroom is just enough. Ergo puella librum claudit, iam librum non legit, sed spectat Christophorum. Liber clausus est librum clausum, puella tenet manibus. Salve, dicit puella. Christophorus sum, quod est tibi?
Nomen.
Nomen, this should be obvious, you don't even need to look for it. Mihi nomen est Anna. Esne discipula anni primi? Christophorus. Christophorus. Quid agit Christophorus? Dicit? Non. Bene, possumus hic dare dicit, sed non est inter vocabula.
Interrogat.
Interrogat Christophorus. Interrogat Christophorus. Sum, respondet Anna. Ego quoque anni primi sum dit Christophorus. Anna, quid agit?
Tacet.
Anna tacet. Anna nihil dicit. Anna non respondet. Christophorus librum spectat, qui in
naso?
Librum qui in naso est, non. Liber non est in naso.
Est in manu.
In mano puelle. As you can see, I do not follow the strict order of Erberg, where you introduce only the first and second declension. I think that if it's a phrase, liber in manu puelle est, I don't care that this is another declension. We will just learn with phrases. It's not a problem. Quid legis? Interrogat Christophorus. Anna ocularia. Anna, quid agit?
Deponit.
Deponit ocularia. Also, I don't care that this is not that very frequent compound, because in the next lesson they will learn ponit. Ponere post magistra telefonum in mensa ponit. So they will learn very, very quickly. It's not a problem. Even in Erberg, ponere is in the 4th chapter. So if I want to continue with Erberg for some reason, they will learn the simple form. And one more thing that we also try to do is to show them as many compounds as possible. Expono, exponere, repono, reponere, depono, deponere, deposui, depositum. Because these words, I think this is very important for teaching. This is a very good way to level the knowledge of students, because those who are advanced in Latin, very often they don't yet feel all these groups of derivatives. And this way they can remember that there are these groups of derivatives which then give origin to many, many, many words in modern languages. And for the students who only start to learn Latin, this is a very quick way to learn an entire group of derivatives. Anna ocularia deponit et Christophorum spectat. Ciceronem lego respondet Anna Christophorus tacet. And this is the end. If you want, I invite you to continue writing these dialogues with me, and I will welcome all of your suggestions. And once again, thank you for having me.
Thank you very much. And now I'd like to ask